nervous, on the surface I look fine. My brain feels heavy, my traumatized mind. And I'm so tired, I can't feel my eyes. Whoa, whoa. I'm petty, but I know how to lie. I feel feelings that I can't describe. I'm not breathing, but I'm still alive. Whoa, whoa.
Shout out to Neoliberal Tears for this.
Shout out to Twitter/X user Neoliberal Tears for resurfacing this clip.
Neoliberal Tears commented at the top of the show, "What happened to my music?" One of my favorite commenters.
Yeah, big fan.
So much affection for me.
Keep it in mind. Prepare for a holiday season of Neoliberal Tears.
Hello. Oh my God, good to see you. I'm Neoliberal Tears. Welcome to Nightcap with Neoliberal Tears, which is me. Good to see you. Did I say that already? Maybe I did. Anyway, welcome. What am I going to talk about today? Well, you can tell from the thumbnail, I'm going to give some friendly advice to friends of the show, my besties, Crystal Ball and Hassan Piker. It's genuinely going to be a friendly advice. So if you're looking for someone to like yell or be nasty, it's not going to be me. Not going to be here. No, I'm too nice. But before I do that, because I know that for some people, it's like what they're looking for, I guess, just people dunking on each other. So before I don't do that, I wanted to talk about decolonization very quickly. So bear with me, trust me, it's worth your time. And why do I want to talk about it? Well, because we should all be for decolonization. And I think there's actually a concerted effort now that it's more popular and we hear it more and more in the discourse to sort of frame it as something it's not and to maybe make it, maybe sabotage, whatever the agenda is for Zionists. It's to either co-opt decolonization or present it as some scary, evil thing that it never was and never will be. So let's talk about it. This is from a website that I really, really, really recommend, founded by two Palestinian writers. It's called decolonizepalestine.com. And let's just read a little bit, and then I promise I'll get to the, the reaction stuff and all that stuff. Trust me. So here's what they write about the one-state solution. What is the one-state solution? The one-state solution calls for the establishment of a decolonized, unitary, secular democratic state for all of those between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea. It does not merely advocate for greater Palestinian civil rights within the framework of the Israeli state. However, this would necessitate that Israel relinquish its state ideology of ethnic supremacy. The idea of a unitary state where everyone is equal is hardly new and was proposed back before the original partition plans. Of course, the Zionist movement, being hell-bent on the exclusive domination of the land, rejected this. And you can read more by clicking there when you go to decolonizepalestine.com. Does the one-state solution mean Jewish Israelis need to leave? Not at all, and none of the literature discussing this come close to suggesting that. In its most simple form, the one-state solution calls for dismantling the Zionist colonial state and replacing it with an egalitarian, democratic state, which would not grant rights based on ethnicity, where every citizen is equal. It says nothing of displacement. And there's also some brilliant answers to questions all throughout the website about what is Zionism, BDS, and there's also like a whole section about pinkwashing or rainbow washing. Let's read a little bit. What is pinkwashing? Pinkwashing refers to the efforts of Zionist organizations, as well as the Israeli government, to invoke LGBTQ+ rights to distract from its human rights violations. This appeal is an attempt to establish a moral superiority for the settler state and frame the Israeli settler as enlightened, as opposed to the backwards Palestinian Arab, quote unquote, backwards. This is all used to legitimize the existence of the Zionist settler colonial project. It erases queer Palestinians and resistance to ongoing Israeli violence, and is itself a form of colonial violence that attempts to further fracture Palestinian society. So super recommend this website. Fun fact about me, I try to like say a few things about myself without giving Zionists ammunition to like harass me, and all that stuff. So I'll just say this. Back in college, my thesis actually had something to do, or not something to do. It was based on the idea, well, the title was Imperialism Through Gay Rights. And it wasn't from the perspective of, gay rights being, or LGBTQ plus rights being imperialistic in nature. It was actually sort of talking about the co-optation that's going on when Western powers, and I was focusing on the United States, use LGBTQ plus rights to present themselves as morally enlightened, progressive, and justify colonization, evil policies, even trade policies, invasions, all sorts of stuff, to sort of present, as they say on decolonizedpalestine.com, which you should definitely check out, to sort of present this false idea of moral superiority, and thereby justifying invading another country, for example, allegedly. And I really, really loved writing it. It was many moons ago, as I like to say, definitely before the genocide, the current iteration of the genocide. And I also talked about how hypocritical it is for the United States to deploy that strategy of imperialism through gay rights or LGBTQ plus rights, when really gay marriage wasn't even a thing in the United States until 2013 on the federal level. So it was... So yeah, that's a little bit about me and my background. Not too much. And again, I'll just advertise it one more time, decolonizedpalestine.com. Great website if you have a family member who might be Zionist curious or doesn't know a lot about Palestine and they're looking for answers. This is such a brilliant website to sort of talk about all of the issues, and really cut through the propaganda. They have a whole section called Palestine 101, reading list, myths, and of course you can support them by clicking support us. You can also support them on Patreon. Oh, that's great. Let's see what the website is. I hope you can see it. Let me just make sure. There we go. Yeah, you can see it. Great. So they're on Patreon, Decolonize Palestine. Become a member. I recommend it. And now that I know that they have a Patreon, I'm gonna help them out as well. So you should too. Okay, let's do it together. Yay. All right. So that was my decolonization spiel. You see, we did it. We did it. And it was only 8 minutes long. So great. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to get to the section where I give liberal commentators some friendly advice and some feedback, some honest feedback, friendly, honest feedback. Okay. So let's go to Hassan first. So I saw this clip. That's what made me think of reacting to it. Let's play it together. Okay, here we go.
Then look to these unbelievably powerful forces. And why they are so aggressively trying to thwart this movement. Okay? I know it's really easy to just go on Twitter and be like, this guy is a sheepdog for the neoliberal Zionist Democratic Party. He just wants to take all this revolutionary potential of the masses and feed it back in the Democratic Party. But like, there's a reason why they're not going after hammer and sickle Twitter users.
Yeah, a lot going on there already, so I have to react. This is Hassan in his mind trying to address or redirect the criticism that he receives for being a sheepdog for the Democrats, campaigning for Democrats, endorsing Democrats who are Zionists, and yes, neoliberal, and trying to do what liberals always do when they hear criticism they don't like. What do? Delegitimize it. Delegitimize it. Make fun of it. Insult it. Insult the people making it. I think he was saying, oh, hammer sickle users on Twitter saying I'm a sheepdogging for the neoliberal Zionist Democratic Party. You could hear from his tone he was mocking it, right? Instead of actually taking that criticism seriously, or at least pretending to. So let's see if he's gonna actually like make a substantive counterpoint to engage with that criticism or insult his viewers even more. Let's see.
And they're going after my bitch ass, okay? My Democratic Party sheepdog ass is getting ass fucked on a daily fucking basis by numerous governments. Why the fuck do you think they're not coming after you?
Okay, so now he's saying because he was banned from visiting the UK or denied a visa to the UK, which, to be clear, I don't support. That's super authoritarian. That's crazy. They did it to his brother, Cenk, who is a Zionist, by the way. So they did it to Zionists, too. Even liberal Zionism is too much for the UK if you criticize Israel, which, again, I don't support. I'm a free speech guy. But he's trying to say, oh, because the UK denied me my visa, the powerful forces that be are coming after me, and they're not coming after users on Twitter who say the Democratic Party is a dead end and a Zionist institution to the core that people should not support. Yeah, because maybe those people are not applying for visas to come to the UK, and also they're not people with millions of followers like you. Like, this is a false comparison if I ever heard one. But he's trying to say sort of that his strategy of being a Democratic Party sheepdogger, I almost said something else that having to do with sheep. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. Now, because to be clear, sheep are beautiful animals, and Hassan, I'm sure I'm sure he loves animals as well. I believe he does. So, I'm sure he loves sheep. Why do I have to keep calling him a sheepdogger? You used that term, Hassan, so now I have to. Okay, fine. People are saying you're a sheepdogger for the Democratic Party because you yourself say that you are. You endorsed Tom Steyer for governor of California, and you couldn't even turn out viewers from your own stream in California, where you live, to vote for that fucking loser. You know why? Because he's a Zionist billionaire. Okay? And no one with a brain who listens to your streams is going to vote for a Zionist billionaire just because you tell them to. Sorry. Beside the point. You are a Democratic Party interest. I think instead of insulting people who make that criticism and trying to say, no, but they denied my visa to the UK, they're coming after me, that shows you how right I am. I don't know what point you think you're proving here. You're not proving anything. And honestly, it's kind of manipulative to use the fact that the UK denied you visa, which they shouldn't have done, but to sort of say, oh, that means that my entryist Democratic Party position and campaigning for Democrats and saying that Ro Khanna should run for president and John Ossoff, two fucking Zionists endorsed by J Street. You think that the powers that be find that such a threat that shows you that shows people that they should pursue the strategy of dem entryism? This is manipulative bullshit, and no one's buying this. This is my friendly advice to you, Hassan. No one who wasn't already, Democrat, blue flag and the everything, Blue flag at home, blue flag in their room, blue flag on Twitter bio. Someone who's not already a 2000% registered, fully committed Democrat is going to buy this bullshit. And I actually am giving you this friendly advice because I do actually want you to be a little bit better and actually speak to the left and for the left. And this is not getting anybody on board. Trust me. This is the friendliest I can be. Okay, if you want to be a sheepdog for the Democratic Party, by the way, that's your right. If you think that it's a more effective path to anti-Zionism, that's your right. Present that case. Talk about that. And be respectful to people. Because what you're doing right now, Hassan, insulting people in such disgusting terms, you're turning off people who you are actually trying to reach. You're turning them off. You're turning me off. I mean, and I'm gonna talk about like the gay stuff that you were saying about, like, I'm being rimmed up the ass and all that stuff. I'm gonna talk about that. But just so you know, this attitude, this spoiled brat attitude of like yelling at people for, hammer sickle on Twitter. Like those people are correct. Okay. And by the way, I can tell you've had like a privileged upbringing just from the way you talk, and throwing tantrums like a fucking baby. You're not a fucking baby. Okay. The left deserves to have commentators who take them seriously and take their concerns seriously. And guess what? If you actually respect people's opinions and address their criticisms, like they're coming from real people with real lives, they're actually going to be more likely to get on board with you when you push them to vote for another fucking Democrat. Okay? I'm sorry. This is as friendly as I can be to what you're doing right now. And it might not sound like it right now in the moment. You're never going to hear this, so who cares? But like, this is me actually trying to help, because at the end of the day, as leftists, we have no commentators actually like representing our worldview and viewpoints. We don't. We have liberal commentators. We have Crystal Ball, who used to speak for people like me, the thousands of people like me, who are still around. They just disengaged. They're just disengaged. They gave up on Twitter. They gave up on YouTube. They gave up on all of you liberals, pieces of shit, who think you can sell out and sell yourselves as people who haven't sold out, and just like trick enough people to sustain your money flow or subscriptions or whatever the fuck. No, we deserve better on the left. We deserve better. So Hassan, do better. Be better. Be fucking better. Speak for the left, even if that means you have to criticize AOC once in a while. Once in a fucking while. Okay? Your access to powerful people who will not defend you when the government comes after you, when anyone comes after you. None of them will defend you. So whatever protection you think you're getting from being buddies with Ro Khanna and Bernie fucking Sanders and AOC, they don't give a shit. They're using you to get however many viewers and subscribers you have. You're using them because you think it's gonna advance your career. You're on Twitch. That's already a career. You're already super successful. You have nothing to lose from criticizing people, except maybe you won't be on as much on the inside as much as you'd like to be. You'd like to be taken seriously. It's why you're wearing suits now. We deserve so much better than spoiled, rich liberals talking over the left, insulting the left. I'm sorry. Let's go back to that.
Why? Why is it my ass that's getting fucking gaped? Why? I've been doing this shit for a decade. And until recently, until I decided to become more active in this part, in the electoral route a little bit, and actually put a couple fucking numbers on the leaderboard, ain't nobody was...
Did you hear that? Putting fucking numbers on the leaderboard. It's all a game to straight men who are obsessed with politics. I'm telling you. This is just a giant fucking football game to them. I hate sports. I've never liked sports. But this is what it is to them. putting numbers on the leaderboard. And he's talking about electing blue people into the blue team against the red team. You're a fucking loser. I'm sorry, you're not. You're not a fucking loser. But this is not a game. Not to real people. This is not a fucking sports game. And yeah, I am gonna say something about the homophobic bullshit you're saying. Oh, they're fucking me up the ass. They're rimming. They're gaping my hole. Blah, 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 blah. Fuck off. Fuck off. And I can say that because it's Pride Month. But fuck off. You think because you're Snapchatting shirtless pictures of yourselves to anti-piker, to have as thirst traps on Twitter, you think you can speak in homophobic bullshit like this to make your point? You can make your point without the fucking homophobic bullshit. I fucking hate liberals. They did it with Putin too. Remember in the last time Trump was in office? They were like, oh, Putin is fucking Trump up the ass. Oh, look at Trump and Putin making out. Meh, 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 meh. Fuck off with your homophobic bullshit. And let me tell you, Hassan, LGBTQ people don't react well to straight men talking about getting fucked up the ass. And it doesn't matter how many thirst traps you throw out there. This is disgusting. You're fucking disgusting. Fuck you, you homophobic piece of shit. Work your issues. Work on them. I love how I said that like he is actually gonna do anything. No, this is homophobic bullshit. And like, this is something that as gay leftists, we talk about to each other, you know, like, and because this is not the first time Hassan has used like gay sex euphemisms to like make his point or whatever. And it pisses all of us off. Just because you don't see it in a comment on Twitter, and just because we're not chronically online like you are, doesn't mean you're not pissing off a big chunk of the LGBTQ plus community by talking about, oh, gonna get they're fucking me up the ass, my hole is gaping, blah blah blah. Even Caleb Heron like talked about how like you should calm the fuck down talking about like, you know, tops and bottom. This is not your fucking community. You're a straight man. Get a grip. Disgusting liberals.
Gaping my ass! And now it's gaped!
Yeah, fuck this. Fuck this. I mean, honestly, if I wasn't trying to help Hassan in some way, like, I would just let him keep being exactly as he is. Trust me, gay people are turning you the fuck off. They're turning you off. They're not listening to you. All they remember is that you yelled homophobic shit. This isn't fun. This isn't even fucking funny. You're just an idiot, spoiled brat. You really are. I'm sorry. This is supposed to be friendly advice. I'll get back to friendly. Friendly mode.
Why do you think that's the case? Why are they not yelling at you? You got the radical points. You're posting about Yahya Sinwar all day. Why are they not treating you in the same way?
Yeah, random anonymous user on Twitter. Why aren't you getting denied visa to the UK? That means Hassan is more radical than you. Get it? Get it? So fucking stupid.
I don't even got a problem with that posting too. And yet you yell at me.
Oh, definitely. Definitely doesn't have a problem with any of that, huh? Nothing at all whatsoever. So pathetic. It's actually pathetic to see this. And I think what it's telling me is like, look at the big picture here, right? Hassan is yelling at people, multiple people, a lot of people, a real current of leftists in the United States, like myself, who don't think the Democratic Party is an avenue to change, or that the Democratic Party should be reformed or can be reformed, or is even pretending to become an anti-Zionist party. Like, they're not offering leftists anything or pretending to. And Hassan, in reaction to that, insults people, tell them how much more radical he is, how correct he is. and uses homophobic imagery and slurs about his whole to tell them how stupid they are. How stupid they are. What's going to happen in the midterms? You think those same people that he's insulting right now, you think people like me are going to come up and vote for Democrats in the midterms? I mean, you know what? I was already gone, right? Like, I'm not voting for fucking Democrats unless they meet my litmus test, which some Democrats have met, to be clear, two so far. My litmus test, by the way, for anyone who's new here, is anti-Zionism and supporting the one-state solution with equal rights from the river to the sea and the right of return of all Palestinian refugees and their descendants. And we have 2 Congress members who met my litmus test, and they get full unwavering support. Those are Congress members Rashida Tlaib and Congress member Chris Rabb. Yay. Yay to those 2. They met my litmus test. But do you think that people who are disgusted with Democrats, or maybe who voted Democrats in the past for Democrats in the past, and now are so repulsed by the lying, the bullshit, that they don't want to, do you think this is going to help them turn out in the midterms for whoever you're endorsing, Hassan? For I don't know, trying to think, Nithya Raman for LA mayor. I mean, like, whoever you want them to vote for in the midterms. Do you think that? Do you think you're helping? Do you think you're reaching them? Do you think you're making a lot of sense? No, you're just throwing tantrums like a toddler. I don't want to even like, this is childish. This is the kind of childishness in a man, a straight man, that can only come from growing up privileged. I'm sorry, I'll keep saying it because it's fucking true, and I don't think anyone else in his life is telling him this. So I'll just put that out there into the internet, and I don't have viewers. No one listens to me anyway. So guess what? You get this for free. Free, friendly advice. You really are. Okay, let's go back. Actually, fuck, we have to, there's more to this. Okay.
Wake the fuck up!
Okay, great. Glad I played through that part. Let's see. I wanted to show this. So this is another part where Hassan talked about his sheepdogging. Let's play that. Or I guess I should say his philosophy on why working through the Democratic Party is the most effective path to change. Blah blah blah.
I think I'm more of a real one than these centrist liberals as far as like my advocacy for any kind of check to Donald Trump's unchecked fascism, as far as having a fucking blue Congress.
Did you hear how he phrased that? He thought he was so clever. You know, he's basically saying, I'm more committed to electing Democrats so they can retake the House, a blue Congress. But he phrased it as, what was it? Let's play it again. Check on Trump's power, because as if Democrats ever fucking do that anyway. Yeah, let me know what
check to Donald Trump. Any kind of check to Donald Trump's unchecked fascism, as far as having a fucking blue Congress. Straight up. I don't give a fuck if ultras will say, oh, you want liberal, Zionist, genocidal Democrats to fucking win elections or whatever. I want there to.
You see why I really believe Democrats are going to lose in the midterms? Which is going to buck historical trends because of idiots like this who don't understand politics. I gotta say, politics is about persuasion. It really is. And the fact that an idiot like Hassan thinks that he can just yell the critics away, you're talking at voters. You might not want them to be voters, but they're voters. And you're repulsive. You're acting repulsive to them. This is someone who clearly doesn't engage with people in any kind of political sense. And I mean like canvassing. I mean, like actually talking to people and trying to get them to, move over to his position. No, he's just, he's doing what I'm doing right now, yelling at his computer and not taking people seriously, which is such a self-own. I can't emphasize this enough. This stuff like this is why I genuinely believe Democrats are going to lose the midterms. And it's so ironic because Hassan is trying to get them to have a blue Congress next year. It's so crazy. He's literally, you can see that he knows that the criticism exists, but instead of addressing it, talking to it, not even like offering something substantively different, but just at least saying, like doing the bullshit of like, I hear you, I see you, I feel you. Let me reflect back to you your opinions and tell you you're valid, that you make total sense. People lost family members because of Democrats and their genocide. And you're belittling them and insulting them. Like, you are so out of touch. I know it's a cliche to say liberals are so out of touch, but with regular people and real people. But liberals hear that and they think, oh, I need to pander to white people more. Like, they don't even understand that the working class is mostly multiracial, first of all. But like, they're so out of touch, they have like, they all have, and this is not just Hassan, to be clear, they all have DC brain, where they think that where the Democrats lost is not people of color or minorities or working class voters who are very intersectional, very pro-LGBTQ+. They don't really want to think about those people. Instead, they just pretend like the DC brain dead people they are. Hassan lives in California, but it's kind of like the same thing. It's like, oh, we lost working class white men, so let's adopt stylistically the style of white working class men, and they think that's going to get white working class men to vote for them. All right. You just repelled a whole litany of other people by insulting their intelligence, belittling their criticisms, trying to delegitimize them, by the way, by calling them, as soon as you start calling critics you don't like, and trying to coin a phrase for it, like ultras. Oh, the people who disagree with me are ultras, ultra leftists, ultras. You're literally, you're like digging your own fucking grave. You're trying to lose. Honestly, I don't think the Democratic Party is paying Hassan, but if they were, you're helping them lose. You're helping them lose. My friendly advice.
Be some kind of fucking stoppage, some kind of stopgap measure against the motherfucking Republican.
Democrats, when they had the Senate majority, a House, I almost missed my finger, a Senate majority, a House majority, and the presidency in 2021 under Biden, did they repeal any of Trump's tax cuts for the rich? Did they undo any of Trump's policies from 2016? Did they do anything at all except giving a quote-unquote climate bill that was billions and billions in subsidies to ExxonMobil? So this idea that Democrats are a stoppage against Trump's fascism, who's buying this? Hassan, do you actually believe the words coming out of your mouth? Or do you think your viewers are so stupid that they'll believe the Democrats are a stoppage against Trump? I don't think Hassan believes this. This is why it's pissing me off. I think he thinks that it just sounds nice in his head, so other people will buy it. It's so pathetic. It's pathetic. If it's not even persuasive to you, Hassan, it's not going to be persuasive to anyone else. Trust me. Trust me. Watch the midterms. Trust me.
Acceleration towards fascism. Okay, that's what I want.
Asked him, is there going to be more?
You
coming on
clearly
as part of
don't.
the exchange.
I think I'm more of a real one than these centrist liberals. As far
Okay. So let's look at the latest from another friend of the show. Thank you, Hassan, by the way. I hope that was useful advice for you. Another friend of the show, Harry Anton, and he's sort of he's like a poll guy for CNN, and he kind of has interesting things to say about, I mean, to give you a heads up, like he kind of like it kind of the winds of what he like it kind of changes what he says like every kind of few weeks, because there's a new poll showing Democrats are up, Democrats are down, Republicans are up, Republicans are down. So this kind of stuff is very fluid, very susceptible to change, I suppose. But I still think he has some interesting data points that will address what I've been talking about, which is why Democrats are failing to win back voters that they lost in 2024 or after 2024. And the warning signs, because I really want, I guess, because no one watches these streams, and that's perfectly fine with me. I actually prefer it that way. But I guess I wanted to have something out there as sort of like proof, I guess, after Democrats lose in November, that like there have been warnings. It's just that Democrats weren't listening to those warnings. They were doing what they always do, yell at each other in an echo chamber and telling themselves that everything is fine. I want this stream that nobody watches except a few of you who do, and thank you for that. I love you very much. You know who you are. Fascism Watch, I miss your presence tonight. I hope you get to catch this later. I hope you're well. Hope your family is well, your pets, everybody. But I really want there to be some sort of, I guess, proof on the internet that Democrats were being warned that leftists like me are not coming back. At least not for this shit. Not with what's currently on offer. Because you know what I'm worried about when they lose the House in the midterms against historical expectations that they're going to retake the House, is they'll do what they always do, which is blame the most marginalized people in the world, which is like, or most marginalized people in the United States, immigrants, trans people. Blame it on woke, blame it on, all of the things that aren't actually the reason, right? Or they'll think we need to be even more right-wing when it comes to Israel. All of this anti-AIPAC stuff really, really ruined our chances of taking back the House. They're going to blame Hassan too. They're going to say, oh, Hassan is too radical. He made us look bad. Meanwhile, Hassan is a fucking sheepdogger for Democrats. But they're going to blame whoever is most convenient for them, instead of actually saying, no, we lost because we are disgusting as a party. Leftists want nothing to do with us, and we haven't even pretended to come up with a strategy to win back leftist voters who left us over the genocide, over many issues, over a period of 50 years, 60 years of neoliberalism. They're going to blame the most the most marginalized groups of people, trans people, and I'm so afraid of that. But I think also the fact that, the only counter to their lies, I suppose, or Monday morning quarterbacking and blaming all the minorities and immigrants and all that stuff, is to have someone in real time who says, no, you were going to lose because you are shitty, to people who theoretically, supposedly, you told yourself in your mind would be in your coalition no matter what. And that's the left. Okay, let's hear this.
Democratic base is very much divided. Take a chap right down the middle, and they are very dissatisfied with the direction the party is going. And you can see it right here, because this is, hello, Democrats who are satisfied with the Dem Party in 2026. It's only about 46%. 52% are dissatisfied. They're dissatisfied. This is Democrats who are dissatisfied with their own party. the majority. Now, I want to put this into some context for you, which was Joe Biden back in 2024 put in arguably the worst presidential debate I have ever seen. And yet 53% of Democrats were actually satisfied with Biden as the nominee after that debate. The majority were satisfied. And yet today, a lower percentage, 46%, are actually satisfied with the party. So the Democratic Party, according to the Democratic voters, well, their pissed offness, if I could say that, has never been higher.
That is.
And what do you think numbers like this lead to? It leads to people who identify as Democrats in this poll to not turn out on election day. It leads them to stay home because they're that disgusted with their own party, which they have every right to be. But then Democrats themselves are gonna look at their defeat after November and they're gonna say, we were too good on the environment. We were too nice to immigrants. We were too nice to trans people. Like it's like you know when like I don't know why I keep using the analogy of narcissists, but like, you know, with a narcissist, when you try to tell them what reality is, they just invent a different reality in their head. Or you tell them like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example. Okay, let's say, this is such a stupid analogy, but bear with me here. Okay, I just came up with it. Let's say a narcissist opens a fridge and they spill all the milk. And then someone comes to the kitchen and they say, oh my God, hey, narcissist, you spilled all the milk. The narcissist is going to say, no, I fucking didn't. The fridge swung itself open and all of a sudden the milk threw itself out. You did it. You actually did it. You did it by coming into the kitchen. The wind from you coming into the kitchen moved the milk and made it spill all over the floor. You fucking milk spiller, you. This is what I just described in a horrible analogy, I fully acknowledge, is Democrats. They are not going to take the right lessons from them losing because they don't need to reckon with reality. As long as they're the only game in town or the only other opposition party other than Republicans in a two-party system, they don't have to reform. They don't have to change anything. They think they can just wait out dissatisfaction with Trump in general and ride that wave, pun intended, into winning as the opposition to whatever Trump is doing. And that's a miscalculation on their part. Because people would rather stay home than vote for people they're disgusted with. Sorry. No matter, and Democrats aren't even pretending to present themselves as an opposition to Trump's fascism. Are they doing that? I don't think they're doing that. No one thinks they're doing that. It's funny because like in 2018, I think Democrats, before the 2018 midterms, they did present themselves actually as anti-Trump. They were very much, at least stylistically, opposed to Trump and his policies. So people did vote in the midterms for the Democrats to retake back the House. And also they had political capital with voters who believed Congress members when they said, I'm gonna fight for Medicare for all. I'm gonna fight for a higher minimum wage if you give us the majority. This was before they betrayed people after Biden was elected. So people voted for them. People believed them, is what I guess I'm trying to say. That doesn't exist right now. Very different landscape. This is why I genuinely believe that genocide in Gaza broke the Democratic Party, or Zionism actually broke the Democratic Party. Because, I mean, you can hear it in Hassan's tone even, the way he was talking about, all of my critics who say I'm a sheepdogger for a Zionist Democratic Party. That criticism didn't exist in 2018, but it exists now. So ignoring that friendly criticism at their own peril.
A fascinating comparison. That really
It
is.
really puts it into
Yeah.
context
It
just
sure
how
does.
upset Democrats are right now.
Okay, so how upset are they? How do Democrats feel about Democrats in Congress specifically?
Yeah, I feel like we're turning into the Tonight Show here. Okay, how upset are they in Congress, right? So you see this 46% who are satisfied with the party, the majority who are dissatisfied with the party. Again, this 46% lower than they were satisfied with Biden as the nominee after the worst debate performance of all time. And you can just see it right here. I mean, Democrats' net approval of congressional Democrats. Look at this. In October of 2025, right, during that shutdown, that first shutdown, plus 22 points on the net approval rating. So Democrats, okay, fairly satisfied with Democrats in Congress. Today, though, look at that. That is an over 30-point drop, a decline right into the ocean right there, minus 9 points. And I will note, it had never been negative. Democrats had always had a positive net approval rating of their own party in Congress in every Congress before this one. But now what we're seeing is consistent numbers across the board where Democrats are underwater. Congressional Democrats are underwater with their own party. And that's why I think these primaries are going to be so interesting, because they're going to tell us, okay, which way do Democrats want their party to go?
But
How
that's the
upset are
question.
they?
Are there signs of that this reflects we want you to be more left or more center or more right?
Yeah, this is the big problem, which is Democrats aren't sure what direction they want their party to go. Democrats want their party to move left, 28%. Not move at all, 18%. Move center, 47%. This is a party divided where they're not actually giving a clear message of where they want their party to go. The one thing I will say is 61% of all voters want their party to move to the center. So if all of a sudden Democrats are actually going to move to the left, which is not what their party wants, that will actually upset the rest of the electorate. The only thing that really unites Democrats right now is they are very upset with Donald Trump. And I think the candidates who are able to actually capture that, that's the candidates who are going to advance the general election.
You see, so from a poll that shows, I don't know if this was like intentional on his part to say that the party doesn't want to move left. It's definitely true. But even, first of all, voters, when they say, you know, they want the party to move to the center, they don't actually mean they want the party to be more like Trump. But I think that's the lesson Democrats are going to take from this. And numbers like this, they're going to be like, oh, we need to be more like Trump or move to the quote unquote center. And that's going to result in what? Even lower turnout in the midterms than what I'm predicting. So, yeah, this is such a fucking disaster. They're absolutely going to lose the midterms. I've never been more sure about anything in my life. And I'm a chronic self-doubter. Trust me. You know? Yeah. And the reason you don't hear a lot of leftists like talk in those terms, frank terms about where the Democratic Party actually is versus where it needs to get to or be to actually be appealing to people again, and is because these commentators who do have inside relationships in the Democratic Party think that if they just ignore the criticism or don't really criticize the Democratic Party as a whole, maybe criticize leadership here and there, but they think that ignoring the criticism and burying their heads in the sand and putting fingers in their ears is going to mean that they're going to win the midterms, and that giving airtime to criticism of the Democratic Party from the left, it's just going to depress turnout more, so they don't do that. Good luck with that strategy, I guess. The only thing they're actually doing is making people who are leftists and who have abandoned the Democratic Party for good reason feel like their views and their perspectives are no longer represented anywhere on the internet. Majority Report doesn't speak for me, right? They're just Democrat Party inside baseball shit. Crystal Ball used to speak for people like me and then shifted to Breaking Points and becoming a blue sheep herder. Yeah. So I think what that means, broadly speaking, especially with the numbers being as divided as they are, I mean, the numbers are divided because the Democratic Party doesn't even pretend to have a unifying message or a unique offering for people who left the Democrats after 2024. Are they trying to do any outreach to people who left over Gaza Absolutely fucking not. We all saw the way the DNC, how they treated people who were protesting at the DNC headquarters over Gaza. They were literally putting fingers in their ears and making fun of the people protesting. Those are voters. And it shocks me that 2 years later, the Democratic Party still doesn't want those votes. They don't want those voters back. If they did, they would at least pretend to offer them something different, even if you don't mean it. Even if Democrats aren't serious about following through on an arms embargo, they could at least pretend, right? But I mean, there's something evil about sort of saying, the Democrat, and I'm sure this is like a conversation for the Democratic Party. You know what? We don't actually want those voters back, like people who left us over the Gaza genocide. We don't want them back because appealing to them, or even rhetorically, even just words, right, we're not going to follow through, even just offering them an arms embargo means that it's cutting off our donations from large donors who might be Zionists. And we don't want to do that because we need the fucking money. The DNC is drowning in debt. So it's like, we don't want to appeal to voters because appealing to voters would cut off our donor funding. It's crazy. And what it's gonna lead to is, first of all, those donors aren't gonna write you checks anyway because you're perceived to be the party out of power and you're not going anywhere successful with these numbers. So why would they throw their money at you? And you're not getting those voters back either. So you're just literally burying yourself in the ground. You are digging your own grave, burying yourself in it, and blaming everybody else for your own failures. That's what narcissists do.
Very interesting. Thank you, Harry.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Harry. Thank you, lady, whoever you are. Appreciate you both. I mean, it's good to still be polite, even if the world is falling apart. So I hope this was friendly. Don't think it was. Last thing I wanted to share. Another person who doesn't take criticism well. I've spoken about this person before. Sandy, sellout Sandy. And there was this article she leaked to Axios. And this is funny because she talked about the left here. And it's also in connection to, this is why I also believe that if she was running for president, not that I think she will, I don't think she will, because no one goes from the House to the presidency. That is it. You're supposed to go to the House, to the Senate, and then the presidency. She's very much a rule follower. That's why I'm putting that out there, is that she's anything but a flamethrower, shall we say, or an agent of change. She wants to take the safe route, and the safe route for her, if she actually is wanting to, I don't know, advance to higher positions in the Democratic Party, is to follow the rules, and following the rules means running for Senate first. And then once you're in the Senate, you run for president. So regardless, all of that aside, she leaked this stuff to Axios when she talked about the left. So the title is, AOC wrestles with left-wing Dems as 2028 decision looms. New York Representative Sandy Ocasio-Cortez is hustling to win over left-wing critics, right, who say the progressive leader cares too much about mainstream approval and is too cozy with senior Democrats. And it's funny, is she hustling to win over left-wing critics? Is she? Is she doing that? I don't think she's doing that. I don't feel like she's doing that. Maybe I'm wrong. Ocasio-Cortez, who's weighing a White House run, recently took a harder line against funding for Israel, part of a push to appease those on the left who once saw her as Bernie Sanders 2.0, but now think she's more pragmatist than revolutionary. Why it matters. For Ocasio-Cortez, the campaign isn't just strategic, it's personal. In private, Ocasio-Cortez has fumed about the criticism, believing it's unfair and counterproductive for the progressive movement. This is great. This is great. Like, you know, whenever someone criticizes you from the left, this applies to Hassan too. What do? Delegitimize them. You insult them. You insult their criticism. You insult their personal life. You delegitimize. Yeah, that's gonna win over those. That's really gonna win people over. Great strategy. Brilliant. My God. I swear these people are so fucking stupid. It's actually shocking. One liberal strategist told Axios that AOC has lamented that the left was not there for her, that they are never pleased. Does she realize she's talking about voters? Like, how stupid are you? You're already weighing a long shot presidential campaign by going from the House to the presidency. And the way you're reacting to literally widespread criticism. It's not just me saying it. It's there. Is by calling people, what is it? What did you call it? In private, Ocasio-Cortez has fumed about the criticism, believing it's unfair and counterproductive. One strategist told Axios that AOC has lamented that the left was not there for her, that they are never pleased. Never pleased. The left is never pleased. They're never happy. They're never happy with anything. Those pieces of shit voters. How dare they not be there for me? For me! How dare you not be there for me? Now fucking vote for me for president, you piece of shit. Between the lines, if Ocasio-Cortez's diplomacy is successful, yeah, good luck. It could be more difficult for any potential 28 presidential candidate to run to her left, but moderate Democrats argue it could also make it tougher for her to win a general election. Despite recent efforts, some loud voices on the left, including people who have worked closely with her, have gotten under her skin by continuing to question her progressive bona fides. She really, I think I'm not saying anything new here, but I actually think she hates leftists more than she hates the right. Because she's not a leftist. She's a centrist. She's a Warren progressive, right? She has always been. Like, the way she won in 2018 is by pretending to be someone she wasn't. And that's kind of like, you know, someone who had values, who had convictions, who had morals, other than just get me into this $128,000 a year salary position where I get global media attention, I get panels on CNN discussing my future ambitions. And she was so young. I mean, not that young, to be clear. She was 28. But I think she was never the leftist she presented herself as. And I think instead of reacting to the criticism from a sincere place of trying to understand it and then trying to alleviate it and win some people back, people who donated to you and who now hate you. I mean, maybe she understands that those people are not coming back regardless of whatever lies she comes up with. You know, she lies so often and she's so untalented. At least Obama and Bill Clinton, like, they were evil war criminal motherfuckers, but at least they had a talent at lying that I think Sandy just doesn't. Even Bernie is a better liar than Sandy. Maybe that's what she's reacting to. She's like, all of these men, all of these other people get to lie nonstop. And when I do the same thing, it's unfair. It's unfair that people are not there for me. Also, just like the self-centeredness of this, of being like, vote, the left is not there for me. You're a fucking politician, you piece of shit. It's not people's job to defend you when you are literally a Zionist. And you lie like a rug. Anywho, so funny. So this is her diplomatic effort to try to reach voters and get them back. You can tell how well it's going, right? In recent weeks, Ocasio-Cortez has tried to repair her relationship with Democratic Socialists of America, DSA. So this is sort of talking about DSA and how they withdrew, in 2024, they withdrew their endorsement of her for re-election, arguing that she conflated anti-Semitism with anti-Zionism and condemned boycotting Zionist institutions. In a virtual DSA forum last month with New York City members, AOC, who's also considering a bid for Senate in 2028, changed her position on Israel by committing to vote against any US funding to that nation, including for defensive weapons. Yeah, that's not really what happened. She said that she would support selling Iron Dome weapons, just not subsidizing Iron Dome funding. So she has the same position as Rahm Emanuel and Bernie Sanders and all the other Zionists. This is what Democrats think they need to do. Triangulate Zionism into a palatable Zionism, and they think that's going to bring voters back. This is why triangulation never works, right? It's like people are asking you for one thing, and you're trying to co-opt what they're asking and give them something else. All right. At the end of the day, voters get to decide to not buy your bullshit when it's bullshit. So good luck with that. Good luck with that Senate run. AOC has also had a fraught relationship with some progressives who helped her launch her political career, blah, blah, blah. She's indicated that she believes that some of her early allies on the left have taken too much credit for her upset House victory 8 years ago, and she's distanced herself from them over the years. People familiar with the dynamic told Axios. As much as I love them, I did not win my election because of DSA, or even Justice Democrats, or any of these organizations. She told friend of the show and the person she has a tight relationship with behind the scenes, quote unquote tight relationship, Ryan Grimm, for his book, Don't Buy It. We had built everything from scratch and did the hardest parts, and then when it looked appealing enough, they jumped in. Despite the voices of dissent on the left, many progressive Democrats are pushing AOC to run for president. They believe she's the left's natural successor to Sanders, who hasn't been shy about praising her. Early polls for the 2028 Democratic presidential primary show AOC in the upper tier of potential candidates. She helped push Zoran Mamdani to victory in last year's New York City mayoral primary. A huge victory for democratic socialism and the left. That's so funny, crediting her with Zoran Mamdani winning. I mean, how many people did she endorse who did not win? She endorsed an AIPAC Democrat in Texas, Julie Johnson, who didn't win. She endorsed Jessica Cisneros a million times, who never won. Zoran Mamdani won because he had an actually appealing message to pro-Palestine voters who were disgusted. First of all, he wasn't a part of the Biden administration, so there was that. But also, he had a unique and at that point, almost other than Rashida Tlaib, no other Democrat had run for office on the one-state solution and defending it in debates and in every interview he had during the primary. For the mayoral election, he defended supporting equal rights from the river to the sea and the right of return. So saying that Zoran won because AOC endorsed him, first of all, she didn't endorse him until way, way, way later in the primary. Like, people were actually calling her out and Bernie Sanders out for not endorsing him. So it's funny how she's trying to use it now to say, like, oh, look at my star power. Yeah, right. So here's what I wanted to finish on. And if you're watching this, thank you. Nobody else is. So you're very unique. I don't want to give anybody false hopes that just because I don't think the Democratic Party or the Republican Party are reformable in any way, or even amenable to any version of anti-Zionism that in practice means stopping the genocide, ongoing genocide, not just in Gaza, but in Lebanon, all over. I think the Democratic Party is worse than a dead end. It's voting for your own burial. Same for Republicans. I don't think they're reformable. I think the media pundits who tell you that the Democratic Party can change from within don't even believe it themselves. They're just so in it for the game and not actual material, meaningful change that they don't care that they're selling snake oil. You know, their entire existence depends on the friendships and connections and relationships that they have with people in the party, and they think it gives their life meaning. They think it gives them a purpose. I think the purpose of journalists should be telling their viewers the truth and reflecting back what people are actually thinking and feeling, instead of standing a party that is literally spitting in our faces over and over again. And voters are saying that. They're saying that in every poll. But we don't have pundits or commentators who are, I guess, secure enough in themselves to be honest with their viewers about who the Democratic Party really is. But having said all that, I don't see a third party succeeding. Not right now. I wouldn't invest in the Green Party if you're thinking about it. You can. I'm not telling you what to do, by the way. You can also vote for Democrats or Republicans. You can vote for whoever you want or not vote. But I also feel a responsibility of sharing that I don't see a third party succeeding either. I think the hunger is there for a genuine leftist third party to rise from the ashes. I don't know. You have to be buried in the ashes to rise from the ashes. So it hasn't even been born yet. But I feel like people are desperate for it. Leftists are desperate for a real third party. I think people who are much smarter than me, people who actually have experience in politics, which I do not, to be clear, but people who are actually smart and thoughtful and good and knowledgeable when it comes to things like ballot access and building an infrastructure for a third party from the ground up and leveraging the social media and the internet and all that stuff. Smarter people than me, if you're listening to this, please take this on. Maybe I was mentioning in another stream that I sort of feel like, just putting this out there, but like there's a Quaker organization called the the American Friends Service Committee, and they do a lot of activism. They're a Quaker organization. They have churches all over the United States. I feel like if they were interested in starting a political party, they would be successful. So Quakers, if you're out there, please start a Free Palestine party. Because they have churches by design have the infrastructure to support that kind of shipbuilding, if you will, and they're LGBTQ plus friendly. So hey, and during Pride Month, and they're Quaker, and the Quakers have a history of fighting against slavery and like standing up for for women's right to vote and all of these struggles that are so important. They're on the front lines of helping immigrants as well. So I think it would take something like that to create a successful third-party movement, a leftist third-party movement. So I don't want you to feel like it's so funny. I have no viewers, so it's like, nobody's. Hey, Ryan Grimm, if you're the one person watching this, no one's listening to me. I am not a threat to you or your electoral hopes and dreams. So trust me, I am not a threat. But smarter people than me, who might be Quakers or up there in the Quaker echelons, just think about it. Just think about it, because we need an alternative. We need an alternative. I don't know who's texting me right now. Anywho, sorry you had to hear that. I forgot to silence my phone. I'll do that in a second. Actually, maybe it's one of my friends who's watching. Let me see. Oh, no, it's not. Damn. All right. That's what I'll leave you with, I suppose. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna play one last thing. I promise. I already said it was gonna be the last thing. But I tried to I had this sort of written in my head for a while, and then I finally wrote a little like direct-to-camera video about it, and I addressed it to bestie, friend of the show, Crystal Ball. And it was sort of like it was like my letter to insider strategists. So people who have a good heart and faith that the Democratic Party can change from within. I sort of wrote that letter to them, but I also wrote it in a weird way to myself, because I don't know Crystal. We do not have a relationship. We never will. I don't know anything about her personal life or care to. So this was sort of like, I guess, me writing a letter to the crystal ball who exists in my head, or like the stuff that she's put out publicly, right? In terms of her work, professional work. So sort of writing a letter to an insider strategist in that mode and saying, hey, the Democratic Party cannot be saved, trust me, and sort of going from there. So I wanted to share it here. I'll make myself invisible because I'm too self-conscious, but I'm just going to play it. It's a few minutes long. Yeah, because I thought it was relating. It was sort of synthesizing my thoughts on why I don't think the Democratic Party is reformable. But I mean, I also wrote it from the perspective of someone who is kind of seduced a lot of times by the idea that maybe we could change the Democratic Party. Maybe they're the only way to enact leftist change. If we're serious about that, maybe their branding being shit doesn't mean that we shouldn't take them over and force them to come to our positions, because that idea is seductive, right? It's the idea that, like, oh, if they actually give people like me power, then I can change the party. So that's sort of the idea behind it. I hope you enjoy it. Like I said, this channel is not monetized. I do this for free and to vent and to make my friends laugh. I don't have a lot of friends, but the few of them I do. I do this for them. We talk about politics a lot. So here's my letter to insider strategists.
Is the American two-party system just a game of good cop, bad cop?
Whatever the left wants or advocates for, the mainstream Democratic impulse, strategy, and in fact, core value set is telling them to go F themselves. In fact, probably the best strategy for actually getting leftist policies enacted under Biden would be if we could somehow convince the establishment that we really, really don't want the things that we actually do want. Please don't pass Medicare for all. We would be so owned if you gave everyone health care. So my friends, the truth is, signing on for an affirmative Joe Biden vote means actively supporting a politician and political movement that's most deeply held conviction is kicking you in the face. Signing on for the continuation of an abusive relationship. And most importantly, signing on for a status quo that has brought millions of Americans economic, emotional, and physical ruin. And their whole strategy rests on the assumption that in spite of your protestations and gnashing of teeth on Twitter, you will in fact fall in line.
I actually respect people like Crystal who work the inside strategy because they clearly understand why people hate the two-party system. They know in their bones, on a cellular level, why Democrats suck so hard. They're on the inside. They see it. The only reason they stay is because they feel they have a chance to make a positive change while being on the inside, to use their power for good. They see leaving the Democratic Party as quitting, picking the easy way out that the party hopes progressives pick, so they have them out of the party and out of their minds. And that quitting doesn't mean just quitting the Democratic Party, but the cause of trying to make life better for the people they care about. If you're fortunate enough to be in a position of influence and be invited to be on the inside, have access to powerful individuals, and at least have a chance to try and make Democrats be just a little less fucked up, wouldn't you rather have a voice with the people who hold actual power than be powerless on the outside like neoliberal tears screaming into the abyss? To borrow from your analogy, bestie, in an abusive relationship, the victim doesn't suddenly get what they want or see positive change in their abuser by staying in the relationship despite the abuse. And the abuser doesn't suddenly stop their abuse when the victim chooses to stay. Research shows that when victims choose to stay in abusive relationships despite everything they know, the abuse always gets worse. Likewise, the abuse committed by the Democratic Party against their own voters has only gotten worse. Take a listen to this family from Michigan who voted for Genocide Joe in 2020 and came to regret their vote 3 years later.
Mohammed Abu Hussein is a teenager in Gaza and on the minds of Mike and Nadia Ayub.
He's become a son to me. We love him. We care about him.
A few years ago, the couple hosted Mohammed at their home in Dearborn, Michigan, where he received a prosthetic leg. Now they say he lives in a refugee camp, the site of recent airstrikes.
It's very tough. I've broken down at times looking at those pictures.
Since the war broke out, they've been furious with the U.S.'s response and want a ceasefire.
Did you vote for Biden in 2020?
Yes.
Do you regret that?
I do. Yeah. He hasn't stepped up for the Palestinians.
Here in Dearborn, Arab Americans make up more than half the population. Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, who represents the area, is accusing President Biden of supporting genocide in Gaza.
We will remember in 2024.
I think Biden and just about every American politician has blood on their hands.
Crystal was 100% right to liken the Democratic Party's relationship with its base to an abusive relationship. If Democrats were smart, they'd have used this moment to elevate Congressmember Rashida Tlaib to a position of leadership, runner for Senate or even president in 2028. She is the only member of Congress who is anti-Zionist, with enough credibility to attract back voters who broke with the Democratic Party over its genocide. The Democrats chose to not do that, and now it's too late. But what I really want to ask you, Crystal, as someone who chose to stay in this abusive dynamic is, was it worth it? Was it worth it to throw out your principles in the trash in exchange for those private meetings behind the scenes, where I'm sure you sound just as much, if not more honest, than me in this very moment, where party elders get to listen to your sincere pleas to please stop campaigning with billionaires, to please understand the moment, where they nod, concur, and make you feel seen, make you feel heard, then turn around and do the exact opposite of what you advised them, because they really don't care and they really didn't listen. You let Democrats trick you into thinking they were on your side and that they were your only vehicle to enact actual meaningful change in this country. You convinced yourself you could make a positive impact by staying, and that you could change your abuser by being there to save them from their worst instincts. But what they were doing is crossing you off the list of people in the media they needed to control, to rein in, to convert into apparatchiks who defend them in the press, justify Democrats' worst behaviors, and sell the people excuses. They knew you were tricky to get on board, but all they needed was to make up a narrative for you that would really sell it. Sell the idea of being co-opted as a power move, that you'd be using your skills to do good in the world, that they would be your vehicle for doing that good, that being an effective do-gooder who has influence over policy while being outside the two-party framework is impossible, silly, and a waste of your talents. You were never really ungettable. They just needed to find the right combination of words, the right emotional punches, to trick you into believing you could change them from the inside while losing your principles. Was it worth it? Did you get any policies passed that were worth writing home about? Your only use for these pieces of shit is on messaging, how to sell their shit sandwich better. A loser like Ro Khanna would borrow your words almost word for word, yell about how billionaires are so evil and how we need peace in the world, while literally taking money from Elon Musk, having fundraising dinners hosted by David Sachs, and being the largest recipient of blood money from defense contractors while he sits on the defense committee. You thought you could influence the Democratic Party on policy, but you ended up being used as just another marketing consultant. You used to speak for people like me. You used to represent not just a few, but thousands of us risers who were with you when you channeled the truth as the voice of the collective left. One of the things that united the Bernie movement, which was always bigger than just him, is the belief in Medicare for all. For a lot of us, that hope was born out of tragedy, of losing someone who may have gotten to live just a little bit longer if healthcare was free, if the greedy rulers let us have not even a modicum of equity in any other area, but just literally healthcare. The grief that was born out of the death of a loved one due to an unjust, cruel insurance system was transmuted into hope. A hope that maybe if we come together and advocate for this thing that we all believe in, this super reasonable policy that every other developed country in the world already has, then Democrats would be forced to meet us in the middle, the real middle, and no one else would have to die for not being able to afford healthcare. Instead, what did we get? In 2020, Democrats won a majority in the House, the Senate, and the presidency, partly thanks to you. And all they passed was billions in COBRA subsidies to health insurance companies, subsidies to the same greedy pieces of shit who are killing us, and not one single life was saved. You were a part in making sure even progressive Democrats would not be challenged on never passing a public option or even just having a floor vote on Medicare for all. You defended their anti-accomplishments when they still had power, used your communication skills to sell that giant pile of excuses by the Democratic Party to the same people you used to represent. Through Rising, you made me feel seen in the media for the first time. It was amazing to see someone on a news channel not just spit out red and blue propaganda. You made me feel less alone. And then you betrayed us. You betrayed yourself. I hope it was worth it, but mostly I hope more than anything that you find yourself again. There are no lies more corrosive to the human spirit than the lies we tell ourselves. Pretending to be someone you're not is antithetical to life. It's a waste of life. So bestie, do me a favor and be yourself. We have only one life to live. The Democratic Party is dead. It died by suicide. But there is hope in death. Hope that that death could be transmuted into something new, something hopeful, a new political party in a new world that is worthy of the people we love. Despite your best efforts, Democrats, like all abusers, are not changing. Your friend Chris Murthy is busy trying to triangulate abolish ICE into rebrand ICE. If Democrats were honest, if we made them drink a truth serum or something, they would tell us that they have zero intention of actually passing something progressive if they won back the majority. They have no desire to change the system that has made them rich, globally famous, and successful. If we want to make positive change, we have to break the abuse cycle and start something new. It happened in Mexico. Morena was founded as a political party in 2014. Its core ideology was anti-neoliberalism, anti-corruption, energy nationalism, and left-wing populism. It drew substantial backing from working-class voters, rural communities, the urban poor, and regions historically underserved by federal investment. As of this year, Morena holds the presidency, majorities in both chambers of deputies, and the Senate, and most governorships, making it the largest political party in Mexico by representation. It also holds significant influence over the federal judiciary, with many elected judges having ties to the party. Only 12 years after it was founded, it is now the largest political party in Mexico, with 11,050,758 registered members. Look, I'm not naive enough to think it would be easy. The first thing Democrats and Republicans will do is try to infiltrate any competition to their monopoly on power and sue this new party into oblivion. They will write smear pieces and blacklist anyone associated with this new effort. They will crack down hard. But if we don't at least try, we would have lost anyway. We tried it your way. It's time to try something new. The people we love need us to try something new. So let's do it. As a great warmongering queen once said, we're #stronger together.
Hi, am I here? Can you see me? Oh, there we go. Look at me. I'm a little bit bigger. Anyway, that was Neoliberal Tears. In a little piece I wrote, trying to sort of explain why I think we need a new party, but also being super realistic about the prospects and how hard it's going to be. I do think it's going to be so fucking hard. The first thing Democrats are going to do is like send some fucking freaks, maybe be DSA aligned, maybe not, to infiltrate whatever this new party is going to be and kill it from the inside. Anyway, but this was sort of, I guess this was my friendly advice in video format to people who are trying to work the insider strategy, to sort of tell them that for many voters, including myself, the Democratic Party is dead. And why I believe we deserve and need something new. So that advice doesn't just go to my bestie, Crystal Ball, who is a brilliant commentator and who I'll always be a fan of, even at my own expense. But also this advice applies to people like Hassan too, to anyone who thinks that the Democratic Party can be changed from within. It's not happening. It's not happening. I promise this is actually going to be the last thing I show, because I have to check on my cats. I have to make sure they're okay. It's been too long. It's been an hour and a half. But I wanted to show this article from Time magazine. It was published in January of this year. Democrats try to abolish ICE movement's energy, but not its goal. All right. So this is sort of to show why I'm so convinced that the Democratic Party is not changing, is not willing to offer leftists anything new or anything good, no matter what, even at the expense of their own loss. So let's look at this article. Senator Chris Murphy is one of those lawmakers who picks his words carefully. He is not the type to blindly rush into a slogan of the hour. So when the Connecticut Democrat navigated a crowd of hundreds gathered outside an ICE office in downtown DC Tuesday evening to mark the one-week anniversary of an ICE officer shooting and killing of Renee Good in Minneapolis, Murphy stuck to the thoughtfully crafted policy package he felt properly met the moment. This is a nation that is defended by our immigrant president and our immigrant future, said Murphy, whose laundry list of reforms include keeping border patrol on the border, banning agents from wearing masks, oh my God, during operations, and requiring them to wear identification, obtain warrants for arrests, and holster guns while on civil matters. You see, so Democrats are just trying to rebrand ICE or get them to wear masks and identification. By the way, the agent that killed Renee Good was a part of ICE for 15 years, so it's not like more training would have fucking helped. But anyway, these were kind of the pragmatic steps that might actually get to the president's desk by the January 30th funding deadline. So this is Senator Chris Murphy addressing the protesters. You should demand that we make sure that this appropriations process is used to make ICE comply with the law, said Murphy, who is the top Democrat on an appropriations subcommittee that handles the Department of Homeland Security's piggy bank. He added, and I see a lot of signs out there, not one additional dime for ICE in this budget. Almost immediately, the crowd erupted in a chant. That was not at all what Murphy was pitching. Defund ICE, came the cry. Thus illustrates Democrats' challenge at this charged moment, responding to their base while not allowing themselves to get pulled further left than they deem prudent. You see, because abolishing ICE, after ICE killed a person who happened to be an American citizen, but a person, Renee Good, it's too much for them. Defund ICE, too much for them. Making ICE agents wear masks. Requiring ICE agents to not wear masks and wearing ID badges while they kill people. That's their triangulated, middle ground, pragmatic, realistic, sensible solution. Okay. Just a little bit more here. There is good reasons for Democrats to want their party leaders to focus on this issue. The latest YouGov Economist poll finds that efforts by Trump and his allies to dismiss Good's death are not working. A full 50% of Americans say the killing by ICE was not justified, compared to just 30% who said it was. But that doesn't mean abolish ICE is suddenly a winning election strategy. The view of the agency is more of a mixed bag, with 43% say they want to abolish the agency. That's a lot. And 46% they want to keep it, meaning Democrats' lingering calls to scrap it are far less popular than the self-selecting social media would suggest. Okay, whatever. At the rally Tuesday evening, Murphy's multi-pronged proposal was one of many policy remedies offered to a crowd itching to rein in ICE. Senator Alex Padilla of California pitched a measure that would hold officers accountable and deny their immunity claims that they were just doing their jobs. And this one, okay, whatever. Now they're just talking about how Democrats' only real problem is messaging and how they don't have a leader and all that stuff. But you see, I think the beginning says it all. You know, Senator Chris fucking Murphy showing up to an abolish ICE rally and saying, you should not ask for abolishing ICE. You should ask for ICE to comply with the law. So anyone who tells you the Democratic Party is changing, even after losing so decisively in 2024 and losing in every opinion poll that comes out before the midterms, they're not trying to actually win. They just want to harness the abolish ICE movement's energy, but not its goal. See how I referred back to the title here? So interesting, so clever. Anywho, if you're one of the few people who watch these streams, I hope this was enjoyable. I hope I was able to pass the time for you while you were cleaning your litter boxes or walking your dog out or doing anything, cleaning, vacuuming, cleaning your bathroom, wiping down your counters, whatever you need to listen to while you're doing stuff around your place. I hope this was worth it. If you have any ideas for clips I should react to that have to do with Palestine or the one-state solution, I would love to react to them. Thank you for all of you who liked my previous streams and left a nice comment. It's really nice for me to see. As I said, this channel is not monetized. I just do it as a hobby. I don't know if a hobby is the word, because a hobby is something you're supposed to enjoy doing. Not that I'm not enjoying this. I enjoy getting feedback from you guys. The few of you who actually watch. Yeah, thank you for bearing with me. I hope this was useful. I really do. I should be back here tomorrow if I have something to talk about. Thank you again. If you're watching this, thank you. Really, really, thank you. Take care of yourselves. And as always, free Palestine from the river to the sea.